You're out of order. Whoops.
I didn't know that was on. I didn't know it was on.
Oh, we're on?
I want to do that. I always wanted to do
They
that.
already
You're
told you
out of
they-
order.
they're
You're,
not going off.
you know what movie I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, liar, liar.
Yeah. No. Well,
Oh,
that one too.
that one
The other
he
one
says
was
it.
Al Pacino.
Oh, okay.
And Justice for All.
I wasn't going back
Anyway,
that far.
someday I'm gonna go Al Pacino on you guys someday.
Yes, you know.
Wait a minute.
All right, are we?
We are recording and we are ready.
Open and
All right.
close. Parks Committee.
Welcome to the Enjoyable Improvement and Services Committee for February 15th, 2023. Roll call, Alder Steuer, I'm here, Alder Weary,
Present.
Alder Campbell,
Here.
and Alder Eck.
Here.
All present and accounted for. Approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve. Oh,
Oh,
we have a,
I would suggest that we take item E6 to follow E1,
E6 to follow E1.
and then go back to the balance of the agenda.
Okay.
so separately then?
So I'll make a motion to that effect.
I make a motion to change E6 to being right after E1.
Correct.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? That passes. All right.
Then we need to adopt as
Yeah, then we
amended.
need to adopt it. Okay, we need a motion to adopt that.
Motion to adopt.
Motion by
as
Campbell.
cited.
And
Second.
seconded by Eck. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
opposed? All right, can we move on? We can move on. Approval of the minutes. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Eck. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Weary. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That passes unanimously. Okay, regular business. We have consideration, number one, consideration with possible action to examine the rescinding of traffic citations in cases where assistance for elderly or disabled citizens sees an assist vehicle or car temporarily parked in a no parking zone. That was brought up by me. I know, Director Hanson's here as well, so, you wanna, I would prefer you to start if need be.
You just want me to give some history?
Yeah, maybe a little history on it.
Sure. I believe it was Kathy or Kathleen Wolfgram.
Yes.
Yeah, she's a constituent in Alder Galvin's district. I think she lives on Roosevelt Street. Anyway, she had received a parking citation for loading and unloading her mother at the Riverfront Lofts, which is 100 block of Cherry Street. And it was a photo citation, meaning that, like a half block away or so, that the parking enforcement staff had stamped a photo of the activity. They do that, actually quite often now for the fact of, there's a lot of confrontation that happens, in the last number of years. So she received the citation in the mail and contested it and did get the fine reduced, to $5. However, she was not pleased with the process. You know, she had contacted the legal department and, I guess she didn't have a real good experience there. And so she just, in essence, kind of wanted to air her grievances to the Traffic, Bike and Ped Commission, which she did. The result or the motion from that meeting was for staff, as in myself, traffic engineer, to send a letter to the Riverfront Loft Apartments property manager, in essence, advising them on the proper place to load and unload, which is the south end of the alleyway. So it's the alleyway that's around between Fox River, Washington Street, Cherry Street, and Pine Street. It's a one-way southbound alley, so the instructions were provided on a map, and as an attachment to that letter, I sent that letter out, and I believe you were copied on that, Alder Steuer,
Yeah,
because
I-
you were part of the discussion.
I sat in on it, but I was wondering, was there anything here that we could peek at or not on
I don't
this?
see anything attached.
There was no attachment, I thought. You know, like, you know.
Oh,
like a
as part
picture.
of the, yeah,
No, we didn't include anything in the meeting agenda.
Okay, well,
right, well, it should be in
you
your
can
email.
describe it. Yeah, I mean, I was fine with, you going to what is it, River Lofts?
Riverfront Lofts.
Riverfront's Lofts and talking to them about it. What was finally decided?
That was a decision,
That
what
was
was
the decision.
recommended in the letter, yeah, was just rather than loading and unloading in the no stopping or standing zone, which is on Cherry Street, which is posted for safety purposes. We have a double yellow center line, and anyone that would be parked curbside would in essence render that road and force traffic over the double yellow. So, you know, in essence, it goes against any traffic standards.
Sure.
And it would be a moving violation to do that. So you don't want to, you know, inadvertently have someone get in a crash
So
or
it'll
anything
be
of that sort of
In
nature.
the alley area, correct?
Correct, so,
And
yeah.
it'll be marked as such?
It's not marked. It doesn't need to be marked. I mean, if we
Okay.
marked every place, I mean,
No, I'm just
you
asking.
know, we wouldn't have a sign budget left. But that's why we sent the letter. And that was the instruction from traffic commissioner, the motion, I should say, and then subsequently adopted by common council at the last meeting.
Okay.
And one of the distinctions, I think, needs to be made, because it seems relatively minor, but the legal ramifications are big on it. A no parking zone, as long as the vehicle's in attendance, you're still legal. So turn the flashers on, you're bringing things in and out, you're loading or unloading. That we allow in any no parking zone. The problem was the people were using a no stopping or standing zone, which means you physically can't stop there. You could be sitting in the car with the engine running. You're still in violation of the ordinance or state statute. So there's a differentiation between a no stopping or standing zone versus a no parking zone. I believe the alley, the location where they would be doing the loading and unloading now is technically a no parking zone, so somebody couldn't get out of the car, go in and visit somebody for a half an hour. That would be a violation. But loading and unloading while they're in attendance of the vehicle is still perfectly legal.
And put the flashers on too?
Yeah, that was.
That's always a preference, but not necessary.
Yeah, it
Right.
actually does give an indication to our parking enforcement staff that there's a loading
Okay.
activity taking place. You know, it's kind of a courtesy, and they know that if they see that's the intention that that's taking place, that or they're broken down.
Right.
But in a case like that, I think it's kind of obvious if there's people moving in and out, they may be bringing groceries in or whatnot. And to further Director Grenier's point about no parking, all alleyways by default are no parking zones. You know, they're there for access, and they're there for, of course, you can deliver goods, deliver passengers. That's just right out of state statute, which we've adopted in our municipal code as well. So
Okay.
loading, unloading is completely fine in a no parking zone.
All direct, and then I'll get all of Campbell.
Okay, so, when I read this, it seems like a general, every rescinding of traffic citations in case, you know, like, it's like a general blanket thing where, you know, and I don't agree with that at all, because it seems a little like anarchy. If you have laws, follow the laws, so.
Understood.
That's why I'm wondering, because this seems like a specific incident, but then we've got this, so I wouldn't be okay with just a general blanket of no more citations in that area. Right? I mean, that's how it's worded?
Correct.
Okay.
Alder Campbell?
I just, not before it stemmed off of there, what about deliveries?
Deliveries are included, so delivery of goods and passengers, so the goods would be a delivery,
I meant,
like a pizza guy or something.
no, how about Amazon or FedEx?
Yep.
or
That's included
all
as
that?
well.
All the same.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's just a differentiation between no parking and no stopping or standing?
Correct. That was the biggest issue
was
in
the
this
biggest
particular
issue.
case, was they were
Okay.
using a no stopping or standing zone.
And she didn't understand that when you talked to her about that? I mean, I know we talked
Well,
about
she,
it.
actually, she understood it well. She, at the
still-
meeting, she admitted to seeing the sign. She knew that. So I guess, I mean, I'm just reading between the lines. It sounds like she intentionally just like, well, I don't know where else to do this, and she just did it.
And I think the situation in this particular case was, well, where else should I have parked? And then what the traffic engineer did was gave her the alternate, or the resolution, was to park in the alley, and then not only to tell the individual who was adversely impacted by the citation, but he also provided a letter to the management group, and the management group will put it, get that letter to all the occupants of the building, and I believe they're gonna publicly post it on like a common bulletin board or something like that, so it's available to guests.
Okay. Alder Eck?
I also, because we're talking about a specific case where a picture was taken from a distance, you said that's becoming more common because of people being confrontational. But that's something where, like, I struggle with because it's against the Constitution, because you're supposed to be able to face your accuser, and in that case, you're not. So you say that's common to take, so you're saying they're down the road and they see something, so they take a picture from a distance and then send them a ticket?
It all started with our school zones. That's where it actually, where the confrontations started, probably 5-7 years ago, where not only there was a fear of their safety, the enforcement staff, but it also slowed down the process. So you get one person that kind of holds it up, well, then you got 10 other people that are getting away with it right in front of everybody else. So you're not really taking care of the problem. Regarding the constitutionality of it, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not gonna speak on behalf of that. All I know is that it's compliant with state statute.
And they do have the opportunity to face their accuser. That's, if they choose to contest the citation, that's where that comes in. That's where that discussion would happen.
Okay.
Okay. Committee?
I just want to compare something maybe that I think our committee here went over. It could have been in council. I'm trying to recall it, but when it's I think it was in council, where the homeless shelter got waived their taxes in that case because of, I'm not gonna say negligent, because we okayed it and approved it. So I'm just saying that maybe in this case, now that we're here, I think that could have been handled probably a little bit more carefully, as an example of that COP that we did approve, that we weren't gonna make them pay the taxes. I'm just comparing it to, if we're gonna let that go, then maybe this could have been handled differently. That's all.
It seems to me that this person just was not happy with what happened and just really kind of pushed it. I was at the meeting and it seemed, and she went on and on about it. And it was like, you know, in essence, you know, if she would have known, she could have parked a little differently nearby and still got what was done to be done. But she kind of just pushed on it, it seemed to me, so.
But this is not, I'm sorry.
Okay. No, go ahead.
I mean, I would make a motion to deny this as written, because it's basically putting it out there for like all future situations. This isn't about waiving her fee, this is about all
All
future.
fees, okay,
you
that's a
know, so-
good point, that's a good point,
So we're talking about a specific, but that's not what's on the agenda, so.
yeah.
Right.
Right,
And if we really want to be technical about it, reading this, I guess verbatim, rescinding a traffic citation in a no parking zone, as long as they're loading and unloading, there's nothing illegal happening. It's if they're parking. So it's almost like you're saying rescind all citations of elderly people. I mean, how are you supposed to know that?
Is
I
it
mean,
worded
I
maybe
guess
it's
there's
not-
disabled plates and there's disabled
Right.
hang tags, but other than that, I mean, not everyone that's elderly has one of those, so, I mean, I don't even know how you'd enforce something
so
like
maybe,
this.
So that's why I say
How could they tell that from
no.
a picture down the block? I don't get it. I mean, there's
Well,
the gap right there, to me, is understanding the situation at hand. And if they're gonna continue to do that, we're gonna continue to be here arguing about it.
Oh,
So
that's
can I make a
interesting.
motion
Yes,
to
yes.
deny this? I mean, as written.
Alder Wery, do you have something to add on that?
Well, I would just add, sounds like, thank you, Mr. Chairman, what you're asking for is already in place as far as the way you worded it here for the no parking zone. It sounds like it's already in place for unloading. The situation that we're referencing has the no stopping and standing, so that's an entirely different
That's it, right.
situation. So for this, we could either deny it or just receive and place on file, because it's already being done, right? Do you read that way?
I'm trying to read it, is it,
Right.
Yeah, I think your
maybe
interpretation.
clarify.
No, Alder Eck, you are reading it correctly.
Okay,
And Alder Weary is similarly correct. It could either be a denial, or because the action requested is actually being done right now, a receive and place on file would similarly be acceptable as a motion.
either
Did you-
one.
Did you wanna make a motion?
Do I have to, I guess, correct my motion?
It's your
Yeah,
pick. If you
yeah,
wanna
we
go,
did- we
if
did
you wanna go
Okay,
deny, you do
I'll
deny.
just say receive and place on file.
Okay,
Okay, by act, receive and
Second.
place in file, seconded by Campbell. Any other discussion, all in favor?
Is there anything else you were looking for, Mr. Chairman? I mean,
No, not really.
okay.
I just brought this forward with this, from the citizen who had contacted about that, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? That passes. Thank you. All right, we're gonna go to number 6 now.
Please.
All right, consideration with possible action on a request by UW Extension Brown County to construct and operate a community garden on a portion of parcel 8-27, 1500 block of Main Street. Staff?
Okay, we've included 2 graphics in your packet that show the proposal from Brown County on how the new garden plot would be established on the parcel. For those unfamiliar, this is on the east side, just off of Main Street. So Main, near the intersection of Proper and Wagner Street.
Yeah,
Think north of the Riverside Ballroom, but slightly to the west, or directly across the street from Earl's Tent and Awning. There's kind of that big open area there.
right.
That's the area that they would like to develop into a community garden, and we do have some representatives here from the petitioner, if you would like to hear from them.
I motion to open the floor.
Motion
Okay.
by Eck. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Campbell. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the floor is now open.
Judy, if you wanted to talk?
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, it's kind of there. I mean, it's across the street.
Please name
Hello,
and
yeah,
address.
just,
Yes.
hi, state your name and address and come on up.
The microphone's over there.
Microphone's right there, just, you can stand right by it.
So Judy Knudsen, 535 Rural Road, De Pere.
Okay,
Annie Schmitz, 907 Raymond Street, Green Bay.
okay. Well, I know this property's been pretty much vacant or city, it's been a city right-of-way or what?
Yes, when Main Street was reconstructed, I believe that project was probably a late 90s, early 2000, somewhere in that neighborhood. With the realignment of Main Street, the property acquisition, we had to acquire a full parcel there. This is the remnant of that parcel that was left over from the real estate acquisition.
Okay,
I'm still having a hard time.
okay, you know where
Describe
the
where it
Riverside is?
I know where the Riverside, so
So
it's
look
not on the
straight
same
across the
side?
street,
Ac-
look
Across
street
the
to the
north,
left.
north side of the street from the Riverside, but then come back to the west
Okay.
towards downtown.
Next to
Yeah.
BB's Bar.
Yeah, near
All
BB's.
right, I just don't remember there being this big open area, but that's
Right.
just.
Well,
Yeah,
it's-
I
well,
have to drive by there.
There's
again.
there's kind of a curve,
It's
and then
curves.
there's a long straight stretch and then another curve.
Okay.
Along that long straight stretch, but on the north side of Main Street, there's just a large open area.
I thought we
Okay.
straightened that out.
I got it.
You don't have time to look because you're curving.
Yeah, I guess that's, I'm looking, right.
You gotta
All
keep
right.
your eyes on the real. Okay,
Sorry,
ladies,
now I gotcha,
please,
I gotcha.
go ahead and, just talk about the project a little bit.
Closer to the
So
road.
as you may be aware, Brown County Extension runs a number of community gardens in Brown County. We have about 15, 16 of them, we keep adding. And the city of Green Bay has been a wonderful partner, allowing us to use a number of city-owned parcels for our community gardens. We have a waiting list, and so we are in expansion mode to add more community gardens. We are looking for parcels in the near downtown neighborhood because a lot of our gardeners come from the near downtown neighborhoods. This is a food insecurity or food security effort to help people to be able to raise produce for, most of them raised for personal household consumption. Some of them donate to local food pantries. A few of our gardeners raise to sell at farmers market, but that's very, very small. We currently have, until we start the expansion, we have 400 garden plots and about 250 gardeners. 70% of them self-identify as low or moderate income. So
Okay.
you can talk a little bit about this project and I'll.
Yeah, just step up to the mic.
Yeah, so I'm the new coordinator, community gardens coordinator. I just started right in the thick of expansion mode for us. So in partnership with a Leadership Green Bay group, we did a canvassing effort in the neighborhood to kind of see what the neighborhood interest would be in having this plot of land kind of developed into a community garden gathering space. Initially, our plans was to take up most of the plot as a really big community garden, almost a half acre. With some of the feedback we got from canvassing, a lot of the local children in the neighborhood actually use that plot of land to play at, soccer, stuff like that, because it's a little bit too dangerous to get across Main Street to get to Joanna's Park. So then we retooled it in cooperation with the Leadership Green Bay Group, and we landed on the maps. You'll see that we kind of have more of a split. Half of the, about 0.2 acres would be an actual community garden space. We'd still be able to fit about 40, 10 feet by 20 feet plots in that area, which is one of our more popular sizes that we see in some of these downtown locations. And then the rest of the plot would go towards kind of sprucing up a little bit more of a gathering space. Leadership Green Bay helped with one of our other neighborhood gardens at Old North. They put in a gazebo, and so we're hoping to kind of try to do that again, make this as a little bit more of a gathering space so parents can come watch their kids play and they'll have a place to hang out. One of the residents of the neighborhood, and feedback to our flyer, said that he'd be willing to donate a little free library to this area to kind of also help with community engagement in that neighborhood. And yeah, a lot of the feedback was a lot of the kids played soccer there, so we were hoping to put in some soccer, implement some soccer nets, a little bit more of a designated spot for the neighborhood to gather and
So
be
this
able
will
to
be-
grow food.
Those will be more under Brown County auspices, or, I mean,
So this has been a joint partnership.
a joint,
So
okay.
how this works is the city has been provided us a number of parcels of land. The Park, Recreation and Forestry Department graciously tills our gardens within the city limits. And then Extension takes responsibility for taking care of the gardens, and making certain that when they go to bed in the fall, before the city comes in to plow, that they're all cleaned up and we're good to get through the winter.
Okay, well, thank you.
And we handle any of the participants' issues with them and all that, so.
And with all of our signage, we do label it as Brown County, and we put the City of Green Bay logo on all of our gardens.
Yep.
So it's been a really wonderful partnership for over 20 years to be able to access city property.
Okay. Committee, do we have anything to add?
Yeah, it looks,
Go ahead.
hello neighbor.
Hello, neighbor.
I was just actually like 2 weeks ago over at Green Bay Upholstery, which is right on that strip across the street, and looking over there and thinking, boy, this is kind of a empty, useless kind of little plot of land we're not doing anything with, and we should do something with it, so.
So here we are.
It's, it looks like a perfect spot. For the play area, is there any thought of putting some kind of berm or fence or anything? I don't know, how often it's gonna be used, but it's a busy street, and soccer balls and stuff flying in.
Yeah, that was something that we were kind of shocked when the feedback came back, that a lot of parents were like, well, our kids play there, and we were like, well, it's like right off Main Street, like, all right. The
Yeah.
garden we'd be putting a fence up around the garden, because we did get feedback that there's a lot of rabbits, chipmunks, stuff like that, somebody was like, you
Good luck
may wanna
stopping 'em.
think about, putting in something to help the pests. And that would be
Yeah.
something that I think we would think about, probably maybe seeing if the fencing company would be willing to put just something up alongside that Main Street side, just to protect any errant balls, but.
What is it? I think it looks great. Good job.
Yeah. Alder Campbell?
You're not gonna like what I'm gonna hear. Okay, I owned the whole next block for 12 years, okay? I've seen people get hit by cars. I've seen cars come up and take my windows out. There's not a lot of room there. I would like to ask, what happened to the property on, which was plenty more off, a little bit straighter, not all the curves, okay? Because I lived all through that change, all right? I wouldn't even let my kids play out there if they were in the many, and I did live down Newhall many years ago, so, I think there's a big safety concern here as much as it means well. I've seen kids ride on their motorcycles at 50, 60 miles an hour on their handlebars, wheeling all the way around the corner, all right? 12 years I had a business there. We would have a booyah out on the thing. My kids used to actually, I raised vegetables with them in the morning at my home, and we sit in the fall, showed them a little bit of entrepreneurship. They also would every day go across the street, across the bridge, across, to Joanna's. And they could swim the Suez Canal. They were, so it's a very busy street. I've never seen kids playing out there in the 12 years that I was there, and that's since I was there, that's when they tried to improve it and straighten it out.
And that's, we would agree with you, we've been there a number of
Miss,
times, and
Could you speak to the microphone?
we've been there a number of times, and we haven't seen any kids play there either, but the feedback we got from the neighbors, because we, did about 100 of these door hangers, and then they could go on and do a Google form or call us, is that we got the feedback. We'd certainly be glad to, you know, we're thinking of it as more of a community space, but if it's an issue, we certainly could till it and put gardens there, because we do need the garden
Well,
space.
something that you're not bending over, weeding and doing all that to where you're not even, it's almost like sitting at a football game or a baseball game and getting hit with a line drive. If you're really not watching what's going on, you're not gonna have a chance.
They're putting a fence up.
A fence ain't gonna stop a car going 50 miles an hour, I hate to tell you.
Well,
So, another question I have is what happened to the university gardens
That's
over
not
there?
ours. That is not.
But I mean, it used to be really plentiful with a lot of people, and over the years now that I've been
The
coming down,
university
it's
garden
like
that had the
gone.
raised beds,
Yeah,
yeah, those were taken down.
oh, and
I
why?
don't-
I mean,
I don't know who did that, but those were not, was never our garden, we would never desert a garden.
Yeah.
We did look at the raised beds, thinking we could salvage some of the lumber, but it wasn't in good shape.
Yeah, it was there for a long
A lot of it was
time.
pretty deteriorated, but that was a group of what I would consider good do-gooders who started it and then after a year or so abandoned it. And we've been doing community gardens now for 27 years.
and I know of some other community gardens that were off of, over by my other store on the west side, on the Howard line, that were right next to the highway, that I knew some people that grew stuff in there.
Okay.
And the guy stopped doing it because people were stealing each other's stuff.
And we've occasionally had that issue, but the city police department has been super helpful when we have those sorts of incidents or kids run through and they smash some tomatoes. The community resource officers have been super helpful in those situations.
Then attracting food attracts animals. And as much as you wanna save your stuff, I mean, I have a yard and I know what I gotta do. If animals start coming off of the east shore, I mean, the east river thing, that could create quite the safety of what, I mean, a coon could come across, a rat, whatever. They're gonna get in that fence. Fence ain't gonna stop them. We all have gardens, you know? I just think that offers there's not room to swerve for someone that's cutting you off on that street. It's one of the most dangerous streets there is.
what would you propose here?
Well, I don't know. I like to say, I think it's a safety concern as much as I'd like to see the area get used.
It's been vacant for many, many years, so, not many
I
years, but
was
quite
there
a
for
while.
12. I'm
Does
quite aware of
Director
it.
Grenier have his input on this?
We actually do agree, that we think this is a good utilization of the property. I understand the concerns that Alder Campbell is expressing. We've seen those types of issues more so in the curve areas, and this is dead center in the middle of the long straight tangent. So we haven't seen, you know, if there were damages to, as a result of errant vehicles, we feel that we would have been seeing more damage to the sod and the surface out there, and we'd be out there repairing it, and that we're not seeing that. That's in speaking to this particular parcel. In speaking to the utilization of currently unprogrammed or vacant parcels with the city, I do want to agree with Judy. The partnership, I think, has been fantastic. We're taking parcels that otherwise are sitting idle, that require staff time and effort to maintain during the summer, and we're putting them into a production for a resource that's desperately needed in the community. And Brown County Extension has been a wonderful partner for us by activating those spaces. One of the things that she referred to is if they have a problem, being able to leverage the CSOs. By having those community spaces activated and having a presence in them, we've seen a measurable decrease in the amount of bad activities that are happening in those areas because we have people in those spaces on a regular basis and keeping a presence there. So this is definitely something that staff would support.
Now, if there was a fence put up where I'm looking at the air photo here. You've got the pollinator buffer area. I mean, I know that would be, and like Alder Campbell said, there would be some issue maybe with animals, but
10 feet.
rabbits, et cetera. But as far as the proposed new community space, was there talk of a fence of some sort along that stretch?
We would probably have to put some fencing there, but certainly around our garden, we were planning, and we had budgeted for the fence around the community garden. But, you know, if we need to look at some additional fencing, we could do that. If that's gonna benefit or not, you have to figure out the cost benefit if it really is going to,
So,
help or not.
as a director, I mean, okay, so we're looking at this garden, but we're looking at this entire parcel, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so it's not half of one, half of the other, it's the entire thing.
Well, what the agenda item is, what what they've petitioned for is simply the garden space that you're seeing.
Right, okay,
So I think as Judy has alluded to, ideally, they would like to take the entire area and make garden out of it. But based on community feedback, the community is saying that there's still some recreational use a part of the property. So I'm kind of reading into the future a little bit on where I think Judy might be headed. They're proposing to utilize the area on the map this year and evaluate the actual usage of the property, potentially go back and revisit with the community partners, the neighbors of the area with what they find. If they find that there are not a lot of kids utilizing that park for park purposes, or that parcel for park purposes, I would envision a year from now that we may see them back to look to expand the gardens.
You are correct.
We've worked together for a while.
yeah,
You mean and take out the soccer field then?
There is no field there. This is just currently a large vacant piece of property.
Well, but that's on the plan.
It would just be like movable, collapsible,
But it would still
nothing
be,
permanent.
but what I'm hearing is in the future, you would be covering up, you would no longer have a soccer field and you're putting it there because the community said they use it.
Correct, because this is not a park.
Yeah,
This is just a vacant parcel right now. If somebody wanted to come in, purchase the parcel and develop it for commercial or residential use, the city would probably sell it.
okay. All right.
And we do enter into, with the city of Green Bay and Brown County legal, or corp councils have worked together, so we have a standard MOU we use for every one of our community gardens within the city of Green Bay. We would do the same sort of thing
Correct.
with this situation. There is a 60-day out clause for either party. So we, over in the Imperial Pride neighborhood, we had a parcel that was sold a year ago, that we had a community garden on. So occasionally that happens, we know that, and then we just look for more space somewhere else.
all right. Committee, ready to move forward?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Eck, do we have a second?
Second?
Second by Weary, any other discussion? All in
Need to
favor?
close the floor.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry,
Yes, motion to close the floor.
yes.
Second.
Motion by Eck, seconded by Weary, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming, yes. All right, now let's get to it.
Okay, now make a motion to approve.
Second.
Eck, seconded by Weary, any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed?
Hey,
Okay,
safety, so.
3-1.
If you're saying approve, would you say yeah? You said
Goes to
maybe.
council,
Anyway, right?
council day?
You guys get-
Yeah, this will go to city
can
council,
remember if someone got you.
when is city council
March
next?
7th.
March 7th.
March 7th, but, we ruled on it, so. All
We're
right,
recommending.
next, so we're going back to number 2. Consideration with possible action on request by Department of Public Works to award bridge and structure inspection services for 2023 and 2024 for consultant inspection services to Ayers Associates in the amount of $47,372. Director.
Okay, I think every 2 years, we come back with a request for a contract with a consultant. This is for inspection of a variety of, there's approximately 30 bridges owned by the city of Green Bay, scattered across the city, and by and large, they're on a 2-year inspection cycle. So there's a routine inspection that needs to be conducted, and then depending on the type of bridge, the amount of flow that goes underneath it, there may be scour inspections or fracture critical inspections in the event of, in the case of the Ray Nitschke Memorial Bridge on Main and Dousman, that occur on a 5-year cycle. But generally speaking, most of our bridges have to have a routine inspection every 2 years. In order to perform that inspection, you have to go through a certification course. We don't have staff that maintains those certifications, so we do go out for consultant services. So in this case, staff did go out and solicited proposals from a few engineering firms here in Green Bay. And upon review of those proposals, the proposal from Ayers Associates was the best fit for the city. So staff is recommending award to Ayers to complete those bridge inspection services.
Okay, committee, any questions?
Seems like we're always talking about bridges. I guess that's
Well,
part of what we do, isn't
That's
it?
part of all.
That's usually the same company that usually handles them. correct?
No, we've actually had several different companies doing our inspection over the last several cycles. And a lot of it, sometimes it has to do with staff turnover at firms, that the folks who actually did the inspection are no longer there. So we want to go back, and then we also want to make sure that we're providing the best value to the community that we can for the dollars that we're spending, so it's worth our while to go out and take a look at the marketplace on a regular basis as well.
So it's nice to have the same team out there so that they're familiar with where to look instead of constantly new people coming in having to learn.
It can be.
Okay.
Can move the camera. Oh,
Point of order, go ahead.
point of order.
Point of
Oh,
order, just,
no, I just would notice my head showing. I said the top of my head on the
can
camera.
we change it?
Is that the point? Kidding.
No, I just, look at my head's on there. My question is, I didn't see it attached. Usually you show that you've had like,
Yes, I'm seeing that. It looks like both the header page and the attachment was not included with the agenda packet. So we will definitely get that out and make it part of the packet.
and that would be showing that you got different, proposals. or
Well, it may or may not, because what we're dealing with here is professional services. And professional services, unlike public construction goes to a low qualified bidder, where cost is the primary consideration. Professional services, on the other hand, what you're obligated to do is to take a look at the quality of the services and how the service delivery is going to be done. And typically you would negotiate price after the fact. You would pick based on quality or project approach, or, have those criteria established ahead of time and negotiate the price afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Moved by Weary,
Second.
seconded by Campbell. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, that passes unanimously. Number 3, consideration with possible action on request by Department of Public Works to award a contract for miscellaneous architecture and engineering services to Berners Schober Associates, Inc. for 2023 and 2024. Director?
There are some engineering services that also include architectural services. So anything that has to do with buildings, projects we're doing on the police station, fire stations, city hall, our public garages, things of that nature.
Parks too? Not parks.
Well, City Hall is a parks facility. The parks shop, we haven't had to do a whole lot on. And typically, yes, this would also happen at park shelters, especially some of the larger ones.
Shelters as in the buildings?
The buildings themselves. That's when you typically need an architect as opposed to an engineer.
Yeah, I was trying to understand the Farland Park thing, talking to Dan too. And he
Sure.
said they would hire in what you're talking about right here.
Right, okay?
Just want to know if that.
So then, rather than,
Hello, is this the improvement services?
yes, it is.
Okay.
So in those instances, when we have had Berners Schober as a consultant for miscellaneous architectural and engineering services for probably over 30 years. They're a downtown firm, they're familiar with the city, they know how we do business, and we do periodically go out and check the market. and I can tell you that the rates we're getting from Berner Schober under this proposal are competitive, would be a very nice way of saying it.
Yeah.
They are at or below market. The partnership between us and BSA has gone on for many years, and that is reflected in the pricing that they offer to us. So every 2 years or so, we still go out and we check BSA's price against what the market price is to make sure that we're still getting a good deal. And as you had alluded to in the previous conversation, Alder Campbell, having somebody, that consistency and the knowledge base between their team and ours is very valuable in making sure that we can get these projects done in a timely manner. So we've been very, very satisfied with the quality of service that BSA has provided. Again, the cost is very, very competitive. We're very happy with that, and staff would recommend approval of this 2-year contract with BSA.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I mean, what I've learned a long time is someone that can understand how I'm pronouncing something.
Sure.
And I'm like, nothing compares to the communication that you just, the,
It's hard to put a value on it in a
Yeah,
sense,
it is.
because
It is.
they've been around a long time, and, how do you put a price on that? You could try, but I don't know if you really could.
but it usually comes out with a good result when
Oh,
two
yeah,
sides
we've been very happy with the quality of the product that's come out of
someone
Berner
can
Schober
really
over the years.
understand your focus on it, then I think it's a good match.
All right,
So I would
so you wanna make a
support
motion?
a motion to approve.
Motion by Campbell.
Second.
Do I have a second? By Wery. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? That passes unanimously.
For some reason, it's showing current item as E6 at the bottom.
Oh, really? E6? Yeah, you might wanna, well, nobody's here to speak to it really, but.
Well,
Does that go with the camera, or?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you might wanna, just for jollies. There we go.
just so you know, the gentleman was here to speak about the community garden, so I told him we already talked about it,
Oh, okay.
so he left.
Did he mention whether he was in support or against?
He seemed to be with them, cause he had those little hangers that
Okay.
she gave out,
Okay.
passed out, yeah.
All right.
So I assume he was in favor.
Okay, where are we now? Number four. Consideration with possible action to approve and accept a storm sewer easement from GP Consumer Products LP to relocate the existing storm sewer within the vacated State Street and vacated Motor Street area. Director?
Okay, we've included some information in the packet. Starts off written with the easement, and then there's a graphic that goes along with this. Again, this is related to the expansion of the Georgia Pacific Broadway facility. With an existing storm sewer that we have out there that needs to be relocated. So we brought a vacation request at a previous meeting within the last month or so, that vacated where the old storm sewer was. This is the easement for the new storm sewer. So again, staff is in support of this, and recommends approval.
Committee?
Move to approve.
Moved by Wery. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second by Eck. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimously. Number five, consideration with possible action on a review and approval of the 2022 Annual Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Stormwater Report. Director.
Okay. Included in the packet is a memo that was prepared by Kelly O'Malley, our stormwater engineering technician, that highlights the program for 2022. So the city owns 32 stormwater facilities, combination of ponds, swales, things of that nature. She completed inspections on each of those facilities last year, looking for plugged outfalls, excessive animal burrows within pond berms, things of that nature. The ponds, the wet ponds that we utilize are getting to an age that we may need to have sediment removed for them to continue to function efficiently. So she is looking into that, and we may be looking at a project probably in '24 to do some modifications on the ponds. Had another successful year of street sweeping in the fall loose leaf collection period. Even though we reduced the collection period on the front end by a week, we still were able to collect 5,500 tons and complete 11 leaf collection rotations 5 in the spring and 6 in the fall. We did have a project over at the shipyard area where we installed a lift station over there a couple of years ago. Due to some shifting in the subgrade soils, we had a project this past summer to do some modifications over there and correct a pipe that had been displaced. So that work was completed, and then one of the more popular, I don't know why, but it always seems to be the hot button issue when we talk about the annual report, but our trapper. At the 32 facilities we have, to make sure that the facilities continue to work properly and don't get damaged, one of the things we are worried about is muskrats have a tendency to burrow onto the inslopes at the water's edge, and that creates a hole in the pond, and the pond doesn't work real well. It becomes more like a bathtub when you pull the drain. So we have for probably, well, it's been over 10 years. I know it's been longer than I've been director, that we've hired a company to go out and actually trap the muskrats out of our pond. And that's always been one of that's the question we get every year. So we're proactively, we removed 150 animals from our facilities last year. So it's no small issue. It's significant.
So what happens with them?
That is up to the trapper.
That's up to the trapper.
You don't want to say on television here?
Yeah,
Or-
well, that's fine.
Muskrat jerky.
We do not relocate them to another location.
All right, I'll read between the lines.
Granny climb.
I do not want to
That's
hear
my
that. I'm
recipe.
like a softie when it comes to.
So in addition to the field work, staff also does participate in educational events. So they've been doing community outreach events, presentations to NWTC. We work very closely with the Environmental Engineering Technology Program at NWTC, serving on their technical advisory committee, working on mock interviews with their staff and students. Worked with the Beaver Dam Creek group on a cleanup area over at Beaver Dam Creek and MacArthur Knights Neighborhood Association. Staffed a booth for the Aldo Leopold Weekend Conservation Fair, assisted with the No Mow May. Helped with the rain barrel program last year. Participated with our comments in the Green Infrastructure Code audit, working with our operations department or division. We were able to sweep the debris out of 4,654 catch basins and inlets across the city. That's more, the suspended solids settle in the inlets, and we don't want them going down the pipe, so sweeping those inlets out helps get that TSS out. And then the last thing that we included was a map showing the outfall locations across the city and the inspection time period. So the intent is to inspect every one of the outfalls over a 5-year rotation. So all of this is a summary document. The actual document, if you're interested in seeing it, by all means, let me know. You can either stop in and I'll be happy to show it to you, or I could run up to my office. It's in 2 3-ring binders, each one of which is approximately 4 inches thick. So there's a lot of data in there that's summarized in the memo, and that data needs to be submitted to the Department of Natural Resources on an annual basis. So staff would recommend approval of the report and authorize the director to submit that to WDNR.
Committee, all the right?
That's it. It's a report, because it says with possible action on review and approval.
Well, the possible action is authorizing me to submit it.
Okay. Are there any maps in that book? Because Mark probably,
I
or
did.
older
They're
story
there.
would probably.
I went like this. Did you see me? I actually went like that.
Yeah, but he was talking about the 4-inch book.
Oh, the
That
4-inch
was
book. I'm
like
sure there's maps
a
there, right?
joke.
No maps? Yeah, there are maps.
So
All right.
I motion to approve
Okay,
the accepting of the report.
all right. Motion by Act. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Weary. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Nice job on the report. You can mention that to your folks.
I will definitely pass that along to Kelly. She
Yes.
put a lot of work into it, and I
Yes.
do appreciate everything she's done.
Thank you.
Leave the muskrats alone.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Never mind, I'd rather not know.
Muskrat Love. Remember that song? Anyway.
Yes, I do.
Okay,
It was
number.
Something
70s.
Is that Captain Latino?
Cap and a tail, yes. All right, number 6, so we already did that.
Yep.
Number 7, consideration with possible action to approve and accept the additional rights-of-way required for the reconstruction of South Maple Avenue from 8th Street to the north terminus.
So we've included some documentation in the packet, and the last page of that is a graphic that shows North Maple Avenue. So this would be north of Eighth Street and up against, if you're familiar with where Ninth crosses Ashland, there's a rail that runs up the west side, or east side of Ashland Avenue, and then it makes a curve off to the east. Where that curvature is, as it comes east of Ashland between Ninth and north of Eighth, Eighth just sort of, or Maple just sort of terminates, it dead ends up there. And that section of Maple is being reconstructed as part of the 2023 reconstruction program. In order to properly get that street end in there, we need to put a cul-de-sac in, because right now, part of that North Maple is actually traveling across rail property. We're in the rail right away, and the rail has advised us that we need to get out. So we approached a property owner that he owns the property to the south, and this is connected to his business, but it's currently vacant and unutilized. So we approached him about purchasing part of that property. To get the right of way, we need to put the cul-de-sac in, so we have a proper cul-de-sac on the north end of the street.
Okay, sounds good.
Move to
Appreciate
approve.
that. Moved by Weary, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Eck, any other discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimously. Number 8, consideration with possible action on the review and award of the contract ramps 1-23 parking ramp repairs to Restoration Systems, Inc. for the amount of $492,350. Director.
Okay, so this is a contract for parking ramp repairs. Project was let, we had two responsive bidders, Restoration Systems Incorporated and Central Restoration. Bid summary is provided for you in the packet. Low bidder was Restoration Systems Incorporated in the amount of $492,350. This fits within the anticipated capital needs for the year. And last year, Central Restoration was our contractor. We have had Restoration Systems Incorporated in the past, both very good firms. We're happy with the bids received and would recommend award to Restoration Systems.
Any questions?
Just to clarify,
Go ahead.
ramps 1 through 23,
Ramps 1-23
1-23
indicates that it's a ramp contract. It's the first one that was let this year and in the year 2023.
January.
So 1-23.
okay, all right.
Could have been a parcel. Yeah.
I know you mentioned that, because it doesn't say specifically, and I know you've talked like Cherry Street and whatever, all the different ones that eventually some are gonna need to be completely replaced.
Correct.
Is this one of them?
Main Street is the first that's going to be replaced. And what we've identified, I think I've identified to you in the past, as part of the development agreement with Schreiber Foods for the home office and global technology center, the space that SFI currently occupies was the old mall and J.C. Penney. And part of that developers agreement provided them with the first option to purchase the land that the Main Street ramp is on. In consultation with Schreiber Management, they have indicated to me that they are still interested in doing that. So no later than August of 2031, that ramp will have to come down. So it's really only about a little over 8 years from now. It was 20 years in the agreement, so the first 11 and a half have gone by already. So the need to take that ramp down is going to come faster than we think. What we have found, talking to staff, not a lot of this ramp repair contract, not a lot of the money in this ramp contract will go towards the Main Street ramp, because I can't justify spending that kind of money on a ramp that is going to have less than 9 years of life left in it.
Well, that's why I was asking, because I
So
thought, we
the
put all
bulk-
this into that.
No, the bulk of this contract actually goes into the Pine Street ramp, and Pine is huge. Main Street has a capacity of 681 stalls. Cherry has 800, and Pine is 1,843. So the bulk of our structured parking is in the Pine Street ramp. That's the one that we need to spend the bulk of the money on. But the Cherry Street ramp is now starting to show its age. I believe that ramp was built in 2002, so it's already over 20 years old. And we are getting into maintenance issues that need to be addressed out there. So more and more money is being spent on Cherry every year as well.
Okay, motion to approve.
Motion by Eck. Do we have a second? Second by Weary. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, number 9. Report of actions taken by Department of Public Works, granting of licenses. You wanna do this one at a time or take them all?
Your preference.
I'd like to take them all.
All right, we got
You're
sidewalk
okay.
builder, R.G. Hendricks, concrete, Delers Construction, IEI, general contractors in the countryside concrete. We also have it for tree and brush trimmers, best stump grinding, Wolf Rats landscaping, and then for underground sprinkler systems, we have the sprinkler company and Wolf Rats landscaping.
And again, we're simply reporting out that these licenses have been granted, so appropriate motion would be to receive and place on file.
Motion to receive and place on file.
Motion by Eck, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Campbell. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. All right, informational. Presentation of annual local vehicle registration fee wheel tax sources and uses.
And we can start the discussion. I don't know if it's gonna go beyond 4 minutes or not. In 4 minutes, we will have to suspend so that we can conduct the public hearing. But as we've promised, and have done for the past several years, each year we bring to you an accounting of what money was received and where the money was spent in the previous year. So the spreadsheet, or graphic is now up to 4 pages because we had 4 years. So what we started with is the 2019, and you see the cash from the previous year. That the wheel tax actually started January 1st of 19, but people started paying their registrations in December. So we had a slight amount of money that came in December for January 19 registration. So that's the 15,649.49. Shows you what money we received in 2019 and where we spent that money in 2019. The bottom number, 586,785.09, was the cash balance at the end of the year. When you flip to the 2020 sheet, you see that at the top as the cash balance coming in from the previous year. So same thing here. What money we received from DOT, reimbursement. When we started in 2020, actually in 2019, the blacktop materials for pothole patching and the joint sealing that used to be part of our operating budget have been paid for out of this wheel tax fund. In addition to just regular potholes that we need to fill, if there are cuts in the pavement that are due to, somebody took an excavation permit out and it has to be permanently repaired. Our operations division does some of that work, and that money also comes out of here, but we don't want that money going towards utility cuts. We want to save that money for road projects or our pothole needs. So we bill those utility cuts back to the utility who caused the problem, and that when they pay their cut, the fee for the utility repair, that's the reimbursement you're seeing. So that money comes back into the fund and becomes available for use for the designated uses. Again, the money's sitting in the bank, so we are earning interest in it. That investment market value, I've asked the finance department to try to give me a description of what that is, and basically it's over the course of the year what the time value of money is. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down over the course of the year. So it's an accounting thing that the finance department has to either credit us money if the market is good, or if the market's not doing so good, there winds up being a charge for the cash that we have in the bank. So that's what that investment market value is. So then you get the net revenue, and then again, 2020's projects are listed there, 2021. And then 2022. So 2022, we are ending the year with a cash balance of just a little bit more than $1.3 million. All of that money goes into this year's program. So it will either, again, there's roughly $230,000 to $250,000 of expenditure that we use for joint sealing and pothole patching for our needs. And then the balance of that money goes either towards, well, first and foremost, we cover the assessments. That was one of the primary functions for the wheel tax. So, okay, yeah, we'll have to suspend
Suspend. Okay,
right now.
We'll get back
For
to
all
it.
the people?
Yep. Well,
Not like it used to be,
what's that?
not like it used to be.
Okay.
Well, okay, so we have a public hearing at 6, and
Do we need to make a motion on that?
Okay, so we have a public hearing, and the public hearing will be for asphalt pavement, Oakland Avenue, Howard Street to 225 feet south of School Place, South Van Buren Street, East Mason Street to Stewart Street, Finger Road, Superior Road to Challenger Drive, and School Place, Oak Street to 13th Avenue. This is listed on your agenda as asphalt resurfacing. We would like to amend that. This is asphalt pavement. These are reconstruct streets. The asphalt resurfacing will be at the next INS meeting in 2 weeks.
Correct.
Okay. So, engineers report, public hearing on February 15th, 2023. In accordance with state statute 66.0703, this public hearing is being held to levy assessments for the proposed pavement improvements which are included in the 2023 capital improvement program. All of the projects being considered tonight will be included in contracts administered by the City of Green Bay Department of Public Works Engineering Division. All of the proposed assessments are being levied in accordance with the city's assessment ordinance. During construction, the contractor is required to provide access to businesses at all times and residences as much as practical. When a residential driveway is inaccessible, the property owners or tenants can receive permission from the city, police department to park on adjoining streets. Problems during construction should be brought to the attention of the Department of Public Works Engineering Division by calling 448-3100. Asphalt pavement. South Oakland Avenue from Howard Street to 225 feet south of School Place is classified as a local road in a residentially zoned area with a single commercial property. The existing asphalt is an urban road section in poor condition and is in need of reconstruction. South Oakland Avenue will be reconstructed with asphalt pavement with curb and gutter over a gravel base and a typical clear width of 30 feet. The 2023 assessment rate for asphalt pavement reconstruction is $56.90 per front foot for commercially zoned use properties. The estimated cost of pavement construction is $820,000. Sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main rehabilitation and construction will be performed prior to pavement reconstruction. The estimated cost of sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main are $552,000, $1,989,500, and $210,000 respectively. No assessments will be levied for the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main improvements. Finger Road from Superior Road to Challenger Drive is classified as a local road in a residential zoned area with a few commercial properties. The existing asphalt is a rural road section in poor condition and is in need of reconstruction. Finger Road will be reconstructed with asphalt pavement with curb and gutter over a gravel base and a typical clear width of 27 feet. 2023 assessment rate for asphalt pavement reconstruction is $78.75 per front foot for commercially zoned or used properties. The estimated cost of pavement construction is $315,000. Sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main rehabilitation and construction will be performed prior to the pavement reconstruction. Estimated cost of sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main are $46,000, $92,000, and $290,000 respectively. No assessments will be levied for the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main improvements. South Van Buren Street from East Mason Street to Stewart Street is classified as a local road in a residential zoned area with a few commercial properties. The existing asphalt is an urban road section in poor condition and is in need of reconstruction. South Van Buren Street will be reconstructed with asphalt pavement with curb and gutter over a gravel base and a typical clear width of 30 feet. The 2023 assessment rate for asphalt pavement reconstruction is $56.90 per front foot for commercial zoned use properties. The estimated cost of pavement construction is $391,000. Sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main rehabilitation and construction will be performed prior to pavement reconstruction. The estimated cost of the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main are $133,400, $327,750, and $400,000 respectively. No assessments will be levied for the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main improvements. School Place from Oakland Street to 13th Avenue is classified as a local road in a residential zoned area with a single commercial property. The existing asphalt is an urban road section in poor condition and is in need of reconstruction. School Place will be reconstructed with an asphalt pavement with curb and gutter over a gravel base and a typical clear width of 20 feet. The 2023 assessment rate for asphalt pavement reconstruction is $56.90 per front foot for commercial zoned use properties. The estimated cost of pavement construction is $260,000. Sanitary sewer, storm sewer, water main rehabilitation and construction will be performed prior to pavement reconstruction. Estimated cost of the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main are $130,000, $290,000, and $290,000 respectively. No assessments will be levied for the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main improvements. So I will ask 3 times if there's anyone here who wishes to testify at this public hearing. Is there anyone here who wishes to testify? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak? Let the record reflect that there was nobody in attendance, nor are there any Zoom attendees wishing to speak at the public hearing, so we can declare the public hearing closed. At this point, we can open it up for any questions that the council may have, or the committee may have. The one thing I do want to bring to your attention, you may have noticed that for South Oakland, South Van Buren, and School Place, we identified that the assessment rate was $56.90 per front foot, but for Finger Road, it was $78.75 per front foot. That is because Finger Road is what we refer to as a rural cross-section, meaning it does not have curb and gutter at this time, and the project that we are constructing in 2023 is an urbanization project. So that is when we had the sheet that had the different assessment rates for the year, we had a type A street, which does not exist. That's a farm field that's turning into a road. We had a type B street and a type C. Type Cs are existing streets with curb and gutter that are being reconstructed, and the type B is the urbanization we're talking about. So that additional cost reflects the construction of curb and gutter the very first time. Typically on streets like that, we don't charge a second time for the curb and gutter, just the urbanization project to bring it up to an urbanized cross-section. There's an additional cost above and beyond what a type C that already has curb and gutter.
Very in-depth. Do we, any questions from the committee? Alderman Rack?
I'm just wondering, all that you read, is that gonna be attached for the council, or, I know it was a lot.
The engineer's report we will attach as part of the council packet, yes.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
good. Anybody else?
It's easier than it used to be.
Do we need to receive and place this on?
No, so what we will do, because the public hearing, the action is to approve the construction and order the assessments levied as necessary.
And we don't need to, because you had said you wanted to change it not to resurfacing, but replacement, do we need?
It would be asphalt pavement, so we
Okay.
would look to modify this agenda item to reflect asphalt pavement versus asphalt reconstruction, or resurfacing, and then approve the action to order the improvements constructed and assessments levied.
So we need to make a motion to change that, or just,
Both, correct.
so can I make a motion
Sure.
to basically what you just, as stated? Is that okay? Does that work?
Sure, the first motion would be to modify
we
the
could do
agenda
that.
item to reflect asphalt pavement.
Okay, so motion by, Eck, do we have a second on that particular point?
Second.
Second by Weary. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, do you have anything else, Alder Eck? Otherwise, Alder Weary wanted to mention something.
Nope.
Alder Weary, did you have a point?
No, I just had a question. How long does it take from start to finish to do a project like this as far as the preparation work, not the actual out in the street?
The design engineering work,
All that part. Oh. Do we have them kind of in the hopper ready to go, or do we say, all right, we're gonna do this street, now start all the engineering, or do we have like some pre-work done on?
oh, no, the staff is currently working on, they don't stop.
Okay,
They're working on projects constantly.
so, you know, if we, would it be difficult at this point to add streets?
For this year, it would, simply because we would not have any survey data on those streets at this point. From the time that we go out and start collecting survey data until the time that we're in a process, or in a position to bid the street, you're looking at probably in the neighborhood of 9 months, 6 to 9 months. So
Is
we,
that just for this type of street, or is that go also for just the asphalt kind of resurfacing? Is that-
resurfacing streets aren't as in-depth, but the resurfacing program for '23 is pretty well set.
And that kind of goes to the point of, we need to see some of these things sooner, I think. And I know tonight's talking about these in particular,
roads.
but when we're looking at our wheel tax later, it seems like we're spending less than ever on the roads. And so there's no point for us here to add to it. Right?
I mean,
Add to the
there-
wheel tax.
So I'm fully in favor of doing this, but we should be doing more. That's my question, is like, when do we ever get to say, hey, you know, that's nice, but let's add some more in?
Well, do we have a time to put, like I said, I put in a couple of requests for roads in my district, you know, for next year.
Sure.
So, is there a time frame where you can say, hey, you know, we need to have it in by such and such a date?
I don't know that we've ever established something like that.
You know,
If alders have specific streets they would like us to consider, I would suggest getting them in by May. I think well, and especially for the reconstruct streets, and, well, for the resurface for that matter, we do have a master list of the proposed program, the proposed streets in the program that goes out 5 years, and that's part of the 5-year CIP that gets discussed at Finance Committee. I don't know if we've done it yet or not, but
that would
for-
be nice to see.
well, for all the reconstruct streets are in that 5-year capital program from finance. The problem we've had is the resurfacing streets. So there's a sheet in that 5-year CIP for resurfacing for each year. And we are gonna add in the comments section for that resurfacing sheet, the streets that are included in the resurfacing program year by year. That was a request that did come in from alders. And we recognize that was a hole or a gap in our knowledge base that we weren't sending on to the alders.
Alder Eck.
Yeah, so this list, that's for the whole year.
No, this is the first one. We'll have several of
Oh,
these
thank
Several
you.
of these.
Okay, good.
No, we
So
will- we will
that
have
is really
several
short
of these
list, short list
public
there.
hearings during the course of the year. So this is the first one. At our next meeting 2 weeks from now, we will be taking the resurfacing streets. And I think there's 20 or so in the
Okay.
resurfacing program. And then we'll have at least one more public hearing with the remainder of the reconstruct streets.
Could we have a quarterly update on a map per se, you know, just to show,
You
show
did
this?
request that.
Just to keep that current, I don't even have to ask, can we just, you know,
Yeah.
over a period of time, like
Sure.
every quarter, just boom, 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 that's all I've got.
Just
Alder
one thing,
Campbell.
if you don't mind, I'll add to the streets that we're presenting here are just those streets that have pavement special assessments. There are other streets that we're planning to do that do not have pavement special assessments that won't be brought forward to this hearing, just to make that clear as well.
Oh, okay.
Right,
okay.
the only streets where we're assessing part of all streets still have special assessments. Our special assessment ordinance never went away. It's just that the wheel tax is covering those special assessments. We're levying it against that wheel tax fund as opposed to, against an abutting property owner, so there's no need to have the public hearing
Okay. I
because
get
we're
it.
assessing ourselves,
Thank
okay?
you.
So on any projects where there are, all of the road is residential, there are no commercial or industrial parcels on there, that we wouldn't be levying any of the assessment, then we don't have to have the public hearing. So those would not necessarily be coming here.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, appreciate it.
Alder Campbell, did you have something?
No.
Okay.
Just, what resurfaces a grind and overlay and or what?
Yes and no. Our resurfacing program is a lot more in-depth than most municipalities. Most municipalities on a resurfacing program, it's simply removing the old asphalt layer and putting a new asphalt layer down to improve ride quality. Our program is a little more in-depth than that. We actually go in, we'll do an evaluation of the underground infrastructure and determine whether or not, on a reconstruct street, we're looking at a 35-year lifespan. And typically what we do is when we look at the underground utilities, we'll bring the laterals, we'll replace the laterals out to the right of way. That way, even though that's a property owner responsibility, by us doing that, it kind of provides some protection for us that nobody's gonna have to go and dig that road up in the first 35 years. Resurfacing is more of a Band-Aid, and we're hoping to get 20 out of them. So we don't replace the laterals, we don't replace the curb and gutter. There's no major profile or cross-section changes to it. We kind of put it back where it was. But we will look at the utilities to make sure that the utilities are gonna last for 20 years. So we're not replacing a whole lot of sanitary sewer, but we may line it. Same thing, we'll do spot repairs, some lining, some replacement on the storm sewer. Water utility oftentimes takes that opportunity. They have certain vintages of water main where they know historically they've had problems. And if they have water mains like that or water mains that are undersized, they will take the opportunity to do some water main replacement on our resurfaced streets. One of the other ways that our resurfacing program differs from other municipalities is other municipalities don't touch the gravel underneath the street, whereas we will. If there are deficiencies in the base gravel, we don't want to go out and put all new gravel down the whole street, but if there are deficiencies in the gravel, we will fix those at that time. So ours is kind of a pavement rehab program more than a resurfacing, but it's just always been referred to as resurfacing.
Rather than bring this up later, I got one question on one street in my district. I think it's Barker Ave. I was there today, I was there the other day, Sunday, and it's gotta have about a foot crown on it. It's not a very wide road.
Yep, quarter crown.
Guys, like, my truck scrapes when I go in and out.
Yep.
And his driveway goes up, and I'm sure you've heard about it. And he
That's
asked-
very
he asked-
prevalent, actually, in Preble
I mean,
streets.
that's a good
Yeah.
crown. And I says, well, I'm looking at that from a building perspective, and I'm like, well, it's kind of a downhill, and if they didn't make the water go over here, it would probably all end up down there if it was flat. He didn't care, cause that ain't his, but, you know, it was so, I mean, it's,
I got a ton of.
if it's a foot crown, it's damn near that, but it ain't a wide street, so
Right.
it really looks crown. It's
Yep.
at least 10 inches. And he's like, are they gonna take that out of there? And the second question is, which I think he has a good point, he's lived there for 60 years, whatever, 40, 30, 20.
Oh, wow.
He does not have a sump pump there, so he's getting in the mail saying it's gonna be done this year. If they don't have a sump pump, are they?
They're not
what happens to
required.
their lateral, okay,
They're not required.
he'll like that. Well, and it's a good question, but at the same time, he goes, I mean, you mean you don't even have a hole in your basement? He goes, no, I don't wanna see it. I go, no, I trust you. So it's like, are they gonna force me to put that in? Of course, that would be a big cost for them.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be us, that would be
Don't
through,
have it,
that would be through inspection department.
Right, okay. I'm just, two questions, one
Sure.
property, kind of a regrade, kind of a sewer, you know? And honestly, the road, to me, looks pretty damn good compared to most of the roads.
Right.
It's like, okay,
Alder Eck?
Yeah, I do have a question about the public hearing, just so I understand. Does that go, like a notice go out to the people that are affected, like a
Yes.
letter?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I
Yeah, as a
know-
matter of fact, I think the mailing is by certified mail.
It is, absolutely. Yep.
Wow,
Then was that last week that you had the PIM?
Yeah, we've had them kind of strategically placed in the
Okay.
last 3-4 weeks. And
Prior to the public hearing, Matt and his staff will actually hold a public information meeting, and they hold the public information meeting in a hybrid format, so people can come in or they can join by Zoom, and that's the opportunity for residents to ask questions about the actual project, how it might affect their property, how do they get access during construction, what do I do if I can't get into my driveway, all those kind of things are handled at the PIM.
Okay, thank you.
We used to get a lot more attendance at public hearings when we were levying assessments.
I bet.
Right.
And ever since the wheel tax came in, attendance at the public hearings has gone down substantially.
Okay, there you go. Public Campbell?
So, just what you explained there, I think I just got a packet in the mail yesterday for Reber Street. And it was a gathering of, this is how and I planned on going to it, so I
Sure.
grabbed the answers. This is what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I just got it yesterday, I didn't have a chance to go through it, I just saw Reber Street redone, it's gonna be a public input, just kind of about the plan of attack.
Yep.
Which we had a little bit of a problem back on whatever street it was up there, my district too, so, and people were like, lots of questions, and you explained that, okay, so that's good, I think that'll be informational, and I think, Mark, you probably have suggested this along the way, I kind of feel that you got this smell to this question, and maybe this is or what you've been practicing for a long time.
Yeah, this is the process that's been
Okay.
in effect here for literally decades.
Yeah, I think that's great, must have missed the last one on the other street, but whatever. Mhm.
Okay.
Where are we at now?
Do we have to make a motion on the public hearing?
Okay, so the motion we would be looking for is to order the improvements constructed and assessments levied.
Make a motion to approve as stated. Is that good?
Second, yeah.
Second.
It's a mouthful.
Second, and seconded by Weary. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That passes unanimously. Now we can sneak back up.
Yes, we can go back and,
Informational, go back to the wheel tax. You know, I know Alder Weary, you've been, and we're all very interested in this, and we've talked about this many times over time, and we appreciate the documentation and that you're giving to us, but Alder Weary, have you had a chance to look it
Sure.
over?
Oh, yeah.
And do you feel, what's your initial
I have a
take?
couple
Do you feel pretty
cases.
good?
One don't, I have a couple questions.
Well, just a few. No, and that's why we're here.
Yeah.
So you mentioned 1.3,
3.
and I was just looking for that number here. Is that just a combination of a few?
No, if you look on the 2022 sheet,
Oh, okay, maybe that's it. I'm looking at, well, it says 21023. That's what I've got. Oh, no,
Gotta keep
excuse
going.
me. Let's just
are you
go back.
looking at the spreadsheets that look
Let's
like this?
Hold on a second. Wheel tax sources, just give me a second, I apologize, I thought I had it correctly. It says annual revenues and expenses,
Yes.
okay, that's what I had up. So, all right, so I'm just trying to get a handle on it, so you got 2019, 20, okay, there you go. I see it. Good
All the
enough.
way up to
So-
2022.
All right, so, is there a, you know, I know that this seems to work out pretty well looking at it, but we're, you know, just looking at it, just trying to decipher from it. There's a lot of information here. And just trying to get a handle on it to say, okay, I think the bottom line is how much do we have in the hopper and how much has been spent? Seems like it's all here, but like I said, I'm just wondering if there was another way to show this at all, you know, graphically or anything like that, or on a map. The maps that.
I knew that was coming in.
But is this,
For a map.
is the committee satisfied with this? That's all I'm asking.
What? He has questions.
I don't wanna, but
Do what?
I'll talk, sure.
Yes,
All right.
please do.
I don't wanna cut you off.
No, I'm done for now.
And I do appreciate, having all the data, it's perfect. Maybe it could be put in more of a graph form or something where you can see side by side, year by year, instead of going, page one, page two.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sure.
I'm just,
That was kind of
Comparison.
my
I was gonna
point.
do it anyway, and I didn't do it all, I probably will anyway, but, for instance, and maybe there's a reasonable explanation, this is our fourth year of doing it, and every year our revenue's gone up, 1.7 million, 1.999, so about 2 million, and this year we're almost 2.1 million, right? So it's gone up. And our expenditures for spending on streets has gone up as well, 1.1 million.
Except for this year.
2.1 million, 1.8 million, 1.3 million. And this year, the amount we had in the leftover at the end of the year was like 500,000, 400,000, 500,000, 1.3 million. So
Yep.
What's up?
What happened?
explain that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Explain that.
Okay, I would love to be able to explain it
Maybe
to
the
you.
costs are really cheap, and we're getting a lot more done for less.
Nope. What we had done in previous years, so if you look at 19, for instance, 19 and 20, we show assessments. Then when you go to 21, it says assessments and allocation. So there was some of that money, when we talked at the committee level, we were struggling with how to show where the money is being spent, and a little bit of it's being cast into each of the projects we're doing. It's more for appearance's sake than anything, okay? The wheel tax money is in a separate fund. It can only be used for transportation, but we use the wheel tax money and our bonded money for the same purpose when we're doing reconstruct and resurfacing. So what Jim was doing was taking that money, the wheel tax money, and he was putting a portion of the wheel tax money into each of the various projects for the year. That got confusing both for us, for finance, and trying to explain to you. So what part of this discussion, one of the things we want to propose to the committee is it's going to look it may look a little wonky to the public, but we're bringing you the capital improvement program next year, or next week, next meeting, excuse me. So that's going to have the resurfacing program, and it's going to have, let's just say, 8 or 10 reconstruct streets. We would like to pick just a couple of streets and say, okay, the wheel tax money's going here and the bonded money's going here, just to make it cleaner, so that we can say, okay, this street was built with wheel tax money, this was built with bonded money. How are we gonna pick those streets? It's kind of a flip of the coin, if I'm being real honest with you. But then it'll make it cleaner. We didn't get a chance to make that allocation in 2022, so instead we used more bonded money than we anticipated, and we've got cash reserves in the wheel tax money. This year, we'll spend those cash reserves out of the wheel tax money and not use as much bonded money. So it'll catch up and even out by the end of 22. And then going forward, as long as the committee and the council agrees with the approach of saying, okay, the first 5 projects, or start with the projects that you have just in the order they're listed on the CIP until you run out of anticipated wheel tax money, and then use bonded money after that. If that's the approach we take, that's what we'll do for that point going forward.
On the rec? No, I'm sorry, for now, we can go back and forth.
Well, I just wanted to clarify, because I understand. My understanding, so that when you said which one do you pick, isn't it the ones that are the residential streets that the wheel tax goes towards versus, say, city streets or, that are not residential? Wouldn't that?
Well, the wheel tax is not just for residential streets. It will cover the assessments, it will cover on any street. And we can use the wheel tax money on any street. We can use it on just residential, we can use them on, like a Main Street or an Oneida Street. There are no limitations under state statute on which streets we can. Now, if the council decides, no, we want to concentrate all of that wheel tax money on residential streets, then we can spend it on residential reconstructs. That's fine with us. I think what we're looking for, what we would like to do, is just to be able to designate streets that, okay, this street is wheel tax funded and this one's bonded. At the end of the day, there's a pot of money. It really doesn't matter which pot it comes from. The bigger thing is making sure we don't ever spend wheel tax money on something that we're not allowed to. That's the entire reason why there is a completely separate fund in the city. That wheel tax money never mixes with any other money. It's completely on its own.
It sounded like, I think initially, in the beginning, I thought it was more for residential, you know, initially. You know, if you have a commercial stretch where you have a lot of businesses, I mean, you can spend a lot of money, or, I mean, that takes a lot out of the pot for some of the residential streets, I think, that we've been trying to get done over time. Does that make sense?
I think commercial also, they pay some though, don't they?
Yeah,
So,
because the commercial properties, anything above two-family residential, only gets a 50% break. Okay? And we typically would not put we wouldn't really go on those other streets, because anything that's a collector or above becomes eligible for the federal funding that comes down through WISDOT on the STBG program, the Surface Transportation Block Grant Program. So those are the ones when we bring a state municipal agreement in front of you, like a Webster or Mather, and the feds are paying 80% of the construction cost and we're only paying 20. We're getting a lot of outside funding on that. We probably wouldn't want to mix the wheel tax money in with that. We'd want to keep the wheel tax money more on our residential reconstruction resurfacing programs.
So the fact is, you're talking about the bonded streets and the ones that aren't. I mean, in the long run, I mean, they're being done. I just need a little better explanation on that for my purpose, you know, as far as you're bonding some of it, and then also some of it is taken care of by the wheel tax.
Correct.
And I guess as far as,
Well, we bring forward a program that is X million dollars. And with that, we anticipate using some wheel tax money. We have a rough idea of what we're gonna be getting in the wheel tax. So this year, the wheel tax expenditure will be in the neighborhood of, well, it's between $250,000 and $270,000 goes into pothole patching and crack sealing. And then the bulk of this, so, you know, roughly 1.0 million of this cash balance, plus the $2 million we're anticipating to generate this year in wheel tax revenue, roughly $3 million, will go towards the 23 program. And again, we have carryover from year to year in the bonded fund, the construction fund. That carryover is next to nothing this year because we didn't allocate the wheel tax money, hoping to get better resolution on being able to provide clarity so we can show you better what it is. So for 1 year, there was an imbalance. We spent a lot more bonded money than wheel tax money. This year, we're gonna spend a lot more wheel tax money than bonded money, and then going forward, there will be about $2 million worth of expenditure. And we had only, based on other municipalities, there was like 13 other jurisdictions that enacted a wheel tax before us. We get our data from the DMV. They tell us exactly how many vehicles are subject to the wheel tax, and then at $20 per vehicle, we can make a projection. And what we were told by other municipalities is their experience, cars that carried a Green Bay registration but were actually in Bellevue or Ledgeview or, you know, someplace that had a Green Bay mailing address, zip code, but it was in another municipality. They said expect 30% loss on your revenue. There's that many vehicles that are in the DMV registration that aren't within the corporate city limits of Green Bay.
the zip codes then?
Yeah. So we had originally projected around $2 million, so we were anticipating only we only reduced by about 15%. We expected, we made our projections based on 1.7, but we now have 4 years worth of data that says 2. So our projections now, based on 4 years worth of data, we're expecting to get $2 million this year.
Alder Campbell?
Just an idea, but, and probably not probable, but, you know, we're trying to explain how the wheel tax, everyone's, right now, it's a big thing, wheel tax, you know, where's it go? My streets, look at this, look at that. You know, when people get their assessment, everybody knows what that is sharing their taxes, and, you know, you see your lottery credit and this and that, so it'd be really kind of cool if, whether it's true, false, or otherwise, it's buried in all this stuff you're telling us that we're learning. You know, to show that 1% of your wheel tax went to your improvements, and, you know, I mean, it's not where it goes, but that's how people look at it, like, I pay it in, and then my house went up, but how come I didn't get a credit for the wheel tax, you know what I mean?
Well, and
it's the
that's
whole
because,
explanation.
that's because you only got assessed when your road was being done.
Right.
Yeah.
So
like
what
I
we're,
said,
what we're
like
hoping to
it,
do here, and you know, Alder Weary was very instrumental in helping get this to the, where it is right now. We need to be able, he's,
A little bit.
but I think I probably got more correspondence from Alder Weary than anybody. And it was, hey, I'm 100% in favor of it. Alder Weary's coming to me saying, we need to be able to explain this to the resident, which is awesome. So he's definitely helping us in refining this program, and it gets a little bit more clear every year as we're learning. So to be able to say that 100% of the money that's going into that wheel tax fund is spent on transportation, it's spent on road work. So it's either being spent on pothole patching, crack sealing, which is maintenance activities. It's being spent on not assessing people where they used to get pavement special assessments, or it's being spent on these streets to help bolster what we can't bond for, what's above our bonding
You know, usually in that-
capabilities.
Usually in that same conversation today, I had one with a guy, you know, it's like, and this wheel tax thing, and I said, well, actually, I think we're gonna be talking about it tonight, and he says, and then there's the 0.5% sales tax, cause I had mentioned something that I was at the county meeting when they made that, and I'm like, ooh, and
another
that, and, but they kinda lump that in,
Yeah.
I pay this one, and I pay that one, and what do we get out of it, you know, but they assume the wheel tax is just like that. I go, no, that's, he said right away, Packers, I go, no, that's a stadium tax, you know? And I fill
Well,
up
and
the
I
sales
guess
tax, and
what-
I'm like,
one of
county
the-
tax?
One of the
This
best
tax,
ways to
that tax,
describe it,
sales,
okay?
you know?
When we were having the discussion at the budget time, and we were talking about paying for things in real time, so operational expenses and not borrowing money, the wheel tax allows us to pay for some of the improvements without having to borrow money, and it lessens the need to pay interest on things for 20 years. That's the best way. So it's, our road construction project, it has two components to it. One of it, we're paying as much as we can in real time so we don't have to pay that extra interest, and that's the wheel tax money. And then the balance of it that we can't fund out of the wheel tax is we borrow money for it.
So, and as this comparison, we've seen the county tax go away or the stadium tax go away. They're like, when does the wheel tax go away? Will it go away? That's what they.
Well,
find
at
out,
this,
right?
at this point, probably not, and it's, wheel tax is a colloquial term. It's not a tax. It's a local vehicle registration fee. It's an added, it's part of your registration fee when you get your license plates renewed every year.
I know. Got a bunch. That don't even move and I had to do it.
Thanks, so will the 1.3 million cash position at end of year, is that all gonna be used up or most of it, or
All of it.
you will?
The intent is to use all of that plus the $2 million that we anticipate to get this year. If we could project as well as we would like to, I would like to see that cash balance at year end be zero. The probability is high that it's probably gonna be in that $500,000 range or so, just due to projects not coming in where we expected. Some projects come in high, some come in low. We may have bills that are hanging out there at the end of the year that have not yet been paid, and that's in that cash position yet, so.
But you roll that over anyhow,
Correct.
right, so.
So this year's wheel tax is going into next year's.
Nope, this year's wheel tax is going into the 23 program. Every dollar we collect,
Okay.
I will
Yeah, I mean,
think of it as do it on credit a little bit, okay? I'm anticipating getting $2 million in wheel tax money, so I'm
They're not
gonna,
paying ahead, they're paying on time.
right, and I will be paying contractors. And then as that money comes in to replenish the fund, it'll bring me back up and replenish my money.
is received and placed on file. Well, okay, this is informational, so anything else on this, gentlemen?
So with that, if alders have questions, suggestions, things you'd like to see, different ways for us to present this, by all means, reach out, let me know. You guys are the ones that I'm trying to give the information to, so I wanna make sure that it's in a format that
And
you.
you reached out to us too, you know, I've visited with you a couple of times.
Yep.
And you said, let's keep the dialogue going.
Exactly.
So, and I appreciate all the worry you coming forward with a lot of this. I threw a few things in, but, right, we, you know, we're learning some too, you know, we don't.
Sure.
Every nuance, we're not there every day. But,
Yep.
yeah, we're getting a good description of everything. All right.
Yeah, just, it would be great to somehow to make it, so there's a place to go that it can have the list of everything that's gonna be done this year, because, yes, we do get asked a lot.
We get a lot.
As we're talking
graphically.
to our constituents, they wanna know, is there road, and you put out a list, where'd you get that list?
Well, and I think you just yesterday or today sent me the list of the streets.
Oh, the street list?
Yeah, because we got it in the mail.
Yeah,
We had a
that's what I
packet, but
thought.
I needed it
Right.
electronically so that I could send it out.
In the
Sure.
mail, we got it, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll have to, when did we
that
get
you,
that?
but I have it
you, or
electronically.
you asked for, one of the two, both of you.
Yeah, I've
The
asked for
public
that.
doesn't necessarily know what streets are getting done, right?
You know, they're,
Well, like the railroad thing, that kinda, that helped us out
Got it in the
too.
mail? We
I
all
mean,
got
most
it?
folks just are concerned about their road. You know, we're looking at all our roads, you know, so in our district.
Well, and sharing with the alders is a little different than sharing with the public. Okay, and what I mean by that, I don't have a problem coming to the four of you and saying, here is the program we're proposing, but until it's adopted by finance committee and they authorize the funding,
That's,
it's not real. So sharing that with the public, we ran into that last year. We brought the improvement program and we had a CIP, and the action from the committee was to approve the capital improvement program and forward to finance committee a bond request. When it got to finance, the bond request got cut, and we wound up cutting 5 streets out of our program. Had we released that, and I think we had released that list to the public, now all of a sudden we had to go back and tell all those residents, oh yeah, just kidding, we're not doing your street this year.
I get it.
And
Yeah,
that didn't
that's
sit
hard.
real well with people.
You wanna under-promise and over-deliver.
So I'm a little nervous about getting the information in the public too early.
well,
But once we get an adopted program, once the financing is released, out of finance committee and they go forward with the bond issue, then we could definitely say, here's your 2023 road reconstruction and resurfacing program or something like that.
that makes sense, actually.
And we do have web maps that show the previous years. Those maps are on the city's website, and we do update those every year. So once the program gets approved, we'll update that with the 23 streets as well.
Okay.
So is participation in like what I just got in the mail? Got your name, Brian?
Matt.
Call you
Pat.
Brian. Pat.
That's
The
You know-
participation level is actually pretty low,
It's very.
I
unless
mean,
there's.
is it our job to go, did you get the letter? Did you read it?
No, it really is, it's an opportunity that we extend to the public. If folks, again, you know, Alder Weary's been with us for a
it
long, long
works, it
time.
works, right?
The biggest thing we used to get was, I want my street done, but I don't want to pay for it. So that's where we get a lot of interaction at the public hearing. Now that folks aren't being levied special assessments, it's kind of the opposite. We hear from folks that my street's the worst one in the city, you should be doing it yesterday, okay? So when we actually put a project list out and say, okay, your street is listed for reconstruction this year, the first question we get is, well, am I being assessed for it? No. Okay, and 90% of the people are like, okay, fine, that's one. We got 1 or 2 people, and a lot of times, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but a lot of times we will have folks who have some sort of special accommodation. My mother needs to be able to get out to her doctor's appointment, or I have multiple kids and I need to be able to bring the grocery bags from the car to the house. How do I handle that? Okay, so we got folks who have special things that they want us to consider, and that's the opportunity to answer those questions for them. And once we answer the questions, nobody shows up for the hearing because it doesn't adversely impact anybody anymore.
Yeah, why would you
Yeah,
fight over
I mean,
that?
I only had that one incident last year that I couldn't seem to solve, because I went on vacation, when I came home, I couldn't even get in my driveway.
Yep,
You weren't there to tell you that we're gonna block your driveway.
right.
And it was,
And even though we're not getting a lot of attendance at those meetings, you know, by providing that information, I think that answers a lot of questions. That was the intention of it, that they could answer the questions before the meeting, and then it gives them some time to generate questions. But we are also getting calls ahead of the meeting if they can't make it, you know, so we provide all of our contact information.
And of course, they're taking it out on the contractor, and it's like,
Yeah.
they're just a contractor, you know?
Right.
Other word.
Thank you. I did have one question, and maybe it's an accounting thing, but I don't think so. The amount that we're putting towards resurfacing, though, that's an accurate number. That's what we're doing for resurfacing, right? Like the first year was 400,000, then it was 500,000, last year was 800,000. This year it's 650, so it seems like we're doing less.
That's the assessments associated with the resurfacing. That only talks about the assessments themselves.
It's not the actual physical price of the road.
So the only way to know that would be to have another report or another, like.
Yeah, I know, it's,
Street, feet, whatever you call it, you have a name for it that you use,
And we'll be bringing
pavement.
resurfacing to the next, the March 1st meeting, and we'll have the pavement.
Well, and I think what Alder Weary's looking for is the center line miles or center line feet. That will be bringing forward to you next week, or at the next meeting when we bring the draft program forward.
Because you know I always ask us to do more.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a foot more,
Center line,
let's do more.
road,
So,
This represents one more thing, just another name. Okay.
Motion to receive and place on file?
Second.
Okay, by
Thanks.
Heck, seconded by Weary. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for the discussion,
Yeah,
and we're gonna continue with this, and we appreciate the efforts that staff has made to keep us in the loop on this, but it can be a little confusing. I mean, we just need,
yeah, and then
and we wanna talk to our citizens, but
Yes,
then
that's the-
again, you saw the issue that comes forward, you know, if you talk too early, that's not good either, so.
We'll even, I think each of us take it in a different way, but we can learn from each other
We'll-
through the whole same explanation too.
Oh, we will, we'll.
Well,
so I'm gonna hold off on that list.
part of our job is to get you the information so that you can make those communications with your constituents, so.
Yeah.
Can we get the same list that Alder Weary gets?
No.
Because apparently he's
It
not
took
forwarded it
weeks
to me.
No, it's just the proposed list.
Right.
It's a
Right.
proposed list.
Keep
It's
it,
not, I
yeah.
don't
Well,
wanna
send
it out to
send it to the
anybody.
committee.
Sure.
Don't post it publicly,
No.
but
Yeah,
just.
don't do that.
Yeah, okay.
Was thinking
It's because it's an idea, you know.
Yes. We just wanna
Director
keep
Glenn
ahead.
says, these are the streets that we have to get done.
And here's
this
his
year."
phone number.
That's how I qualify. No. He's like, please don't.
And here is his
Lights
personal
are
phone
dark in
number.
his
Yeah.
house.
They're
Yeah.
pretty good at finding it.
And
Yeah.
address, right?
All right, let's keep moving here. Director's report on recent activities of the Public Works Department.
The only thing that I really want to share with you,
No.
is personnel related.
Oh, boy.
We were successful in bringing a candidate on to fill the position of the utility director. So I'm happy to announce that Valerie Justin has taken the appointment as utility director, replacing Matt Heckenleibel. Valerie has about 25 years of experience as a civil engineer. She spent the last 10 years with the Waste Management Division at the Department of Natural Resources. So not a lot of utility experience, but definitely a lot of managerial experience. She has a wealth of regulatory knowledge. To learn sewers, if you've got an engineer's brain, we can teach, okay? Knowing regulations and how to enforce them is a skill set unto itself, and she definitely has that in spades. So we're very happy to have Valerie on. She's been with us just a little over a week and has already made positive impact on the department, so very, very happy to have her. Unfortunately, we did receive notification from one of Matt's staff engineers a couple of weeks ago. Brock Benke has taken appointment with a engineering consulting firm here in town, so Brock has left us as of last Friday. Was supposed to be this coming Friday, but actually wound up being last Friday. One of the administrative assistants, Lisa Walensky, has taken a different job, so we're down in admin again.
Did she leave the city, or did
Yeah.
she just relocate?
Went back to her former employer, actually. And just this morning, Christina Wayne. Christine is one of our GIS technicians. Fantastic individual. She's been a great addition to us. She's moving closer to home. Wants to be closer to family kind of thing, so I can't fault her on that. We've
Do you have
loved
a
it, loved
GIS
having her.
Do you have a GIS opening?
We do have a GIS open there. We will shortly. If you know of anybody.
It's been a few years, Anyway, all right, anything else?
We are making plans already, looking ahead towards spring, so hopefully end of March, I'm expecting to be able to bring to you when we anticipate having spring yard waste cleanup. But we are looking at the calendar because everybody seems to be saying that they think it's gonna be an early spring, and we're kind of in an odd season, and I've made a prediction already that we still have 3 plowable events left. They're hanging out there.
What's your prediction?
That's my prediction. We still have 3 of them.
The groundhog saw its shadow,
I was
so,
gonna
Yes.
say,
you know.
Science.
There's that.
We got science here.
I don't know, there's not much frost in the ground. I mean,
No, there's not.
you can push a sign in pretty easily.
Matter of fact, you may have seen that on your way in. Well, no, by the time you came in, it was already cleaned up, but, there's a construction project going on University Avenue between Webster and St. George, on the south side of Webster there. And due to the frost coming out of the ground, they were parking on a grassy area, and it looks like somebody's got that thing set
I've
up.
seen them cleaning up the streets.
Yep, it looked like they had it set
On
up
the
for
way here.
mud drags. It was, there
He
was,
was cleaning up the street.
there was dirt in University Avenue from Webster all the way down to Irwin.
Yeah.
Who
It
did
was
this?
bad.
Who did-
What's that?
How did this happen?
Is that where the,
Just contractors driving in and out with the mushy conditions
What's
right
that,
now.
right
So
there?
we sent our erosion control technicians out there to,
is that the new,
It's the House of Hope, I thought I saw. Is that-
yeah.
Is that
no,
right?
shelter
or
of
Golden
some
House
sort?
Or
or,
Golden, maybe that's.
Golden
the-
House?
Golden House,
Oh,
there you
okay.
go, yeah.
There you go.
right in that one.
so it was their contractor coming in and out.
Yeah, they were-
Receive it.
I never even saw that machine. It almost looked like a squeegee type machine.
Okay,
I make a motion to receive and place on file. Director's report.
by Act, do we have a second?
Second,
Second by Campbell, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm getting
All right, the next Improvement and Services Committee meeting is March 1st, 2023. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I don't think we'd be
Okay.
meeting in this room.
Do we have a second?
Maybe.
Might be.
Yeah, no,
Although that one.
you know, you can explain the reason why we were in this room and not that room. They had
There
another
was
meeting
another
going
meeting
on.
over there.
Correct.
But
I know,
normally,
I was here early.
it's the way, the third Wednesday,
Something going on.
you know, it's just the way it hit this month, right?
No, we're normally second and fourth.
Second and fourth, but not now.
Yeah,
I
think
mean,
we've
at least
had
this
a-
month.
It's just a weird schedule.
One,
mean, the people-
once
We'll
we're
get
off,
back.
once
We'll
we're
get
off the
back.
record, I
Shoot,
can
right
explain
now.
it to you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, we off the record?
All right,
We
so
adjourn?
do we adjourn? You
Can't we?
motion, and did you say
Third.
second?
You seconded, you bet.
Second by
Yeah.
Campbell, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for it all.